Hello students, this is your course on digital marketing basics. In this video on important terms in digital marketing, we are going to be discussing the term JavaScript. Now what is JavaScript? JavaScript is the programming language used by web designers to create dynamic content that provides interactivity to users. Now, those of you who are from computer science or engineering background, this is definitely not an alien term. However, as we discussed before, digital marketing is a stream, it's a career path that is meant for anyone and everyone, and you need not necessarily have an engineering background or a technical background to understand how digital marketing is done and actually do it for companies or clients. Therefore, this is a basic concept understanding of JavaScript and is not to be confused with the language Java, which is a completely different thing. Now, JavaScript runs in the browser of users instead of the site server, which is a very unique thing about this particular programming language. Simply put, if you want to include interactive, dynamic content on your website or your client's website, then JavaScript is the way to go. However, if you have static content on your website, then most likely it's advisable not to adopt JavaScript. Now, technically, this particular programming language allows the web designer to include features like drop down menus. So, for instance, when a user scrolls on a visual cue or a tab, for example, if they go on a field and it asks for a date, and if there is a link over there or an arrow over there, if you click on that and a calendar snippet is dropping down, that is because of JavaScript. Or if somebody is scrolling, a user is scrolling on an image and some information pops up, and then that is a media info pop-up, which is otherwise not possible to do with static content. It can only be done with dynamic content, which is usually designed with the help of JavaScript. Then animation options are also possible with the help of JavaScript, and web designers rely on this to include basic animation in pages for designing eye-catching and attention-grabbing content. Then basic zooming in, zooming out option, or media enlargement, wherein you can click on a photo for it to go in a full screen mode, or a video to go on a full screen mode. Such kind of functionalities are also possible with the help of JavaScript. Then real-time content updates can also be offered with the help of JavaScript, which you may have seen on B2B websites or even B2C websites. For instance, food delivery websites, wherein if your rider is on the way with the food, then there are real-time updates as to every minute where the rider is. So your ETA keeps on getting updated as well. Although these updates are not really uh, running on the browser of the user, they're fetched from the site server and updated at intermittent time intervals. Now, JavaScript content is relatively difficult to render by search engine crawlers, and social media is actually not able to render JavaScript at all. So that makes indexing possible for websites or web pages with JavaScript, but SEO becomes very difficult. And that is why, as digital marketers, you have to be careful about the extent of usage of JavaScript. There are improvements in search engine crawlers of late. Google has even come out with option like Angular to help web designers develop interactive content that can be rendered, that can be studied, analyzed, and fetched by crawlers, but it is still not as efficient as you would say that a crawler can easily fetch or render a static content. So it is something that is of a challenge, a bit of a challenge or a problem. Therefore, because having interactive and dynamic content is definitely desirable, and digital marketers naturally feel that this would improve their user experience. But if your one of your digital marketing goal is search engine optimization and improving the site ranking, then you have to be careful in use of JavaScript in the pages of your website. There are ways to mitigate this problem, of course, wherein you can have pre-rendered pages which you can provide to crawlers or bots which behave as crawlers to improve your site ranking in a search engine result page. Or you can also have hybrid rendering, in which case part of your content would be static and would be hosted on the server, and part of the content would be hosted on the browser. So this server hosted content is something which the crawler can easily render. However, the subsequent content which you are sharing with the users can be run on the browser for better interactivity. However, these are really like extreme options for a digital marketer, and while strategizing, while planning content, you have to be really cautious about the type of engagement you want for your users and how much of your search engine ranking you're willing to sacrifice for that. And what is more important? Basically, that becomes the end goal. So it becomes kind of a trade off. And therefore, as digital marketers, you should know what is JavaScript and where it is used and how much to use and when not to use it. So that's it about the term JavaScript. In the next video, we'll discuss the keyword as a term, what exactly it means. We've been using it in the previous videos. We'll just delve into it in a bit more depth. Until then, thank you.